All right, so in this video, right, I'm gonna touch on my biggest loss while trading and what went wrong, what I could have done better, and what you can do in order to avoid this. Because this hurt. I'm not gonna lie, the loss I took. This was a few years back. This is probably like 7 years ago. I think I was like a sophomore or junior in college when this occurred. So I was still like new to the trading world. So I got into finance, right? The finance field in order to learn more about trading. Trading was the coolest thing to me. I got put on about it. About one of my boys, he was making like all this money, and I was like, "Yo, I need to learn how to do this. I need to learn this skill. I need to learn how to improve on this." And from there, I just went down the rabbit hole, just YouTubing a bunch of stuff, how to buy stock, how to short stock, how to do this, and the biggest thing, because I had limited capital, right? I'm like a sophomore, junior in college, very limited capital to use to trade. But I looked up how do you make I forgot what I looked up, but essentially, how can I make the most with, say, $1,000? And options came up. Options, my friend, options. So this is where everything went wrong. So pretty much, I was in college, right? I used to get. Let me get you a breakdown of like how I got this money. So to when I went to school, I took out a loan in order to pay for my expenses, so like housing, my books, tuition, all that. I took out a loan for however many K it was, and I had excess money left over, and for like spending for like food and like just day to day like expenses and stuff like that. So we get that as a check in the beginning of the semester. So as soon as the semester starts, um, I know what I normally would do is just pay off the rent because I was living off campus. I'd pay off the rent, and then I would pay off like anything that, like the books, tuition, like I said. So I pay that off right away. And this semester, for some reason, I did not pay off my rent. So normally I would pay off my rent for the year, like all in one shot. The landlord loved it because she was getting all her money all at the same time. So she would give me like a discount for doing that. But in this particular situation, I was like, hmm. And this is when I was learning more about options, learning more about just trading in general. I was like, maybe what if I just start paying my rent like normal people do, pay it month to month? And what if I use that excess cash for rent? What if I use that excess cash in order to trade? What if I use that excess cash in order to trade options? One of the riskiest derivatives you could trade. Yeah, but I'm a pro, right? I've only had a couple of weeks under my belt. I'm a pro. Let me take thousands of dollars. Let me do my thing on the charts because I've only been studying this for a week. I've only been studying options for a week. I've only been studying theta for a week, and I didn't realize. I'll touch on this later, but I didn't even realize time decay was a thing until like I lost all this money. But so I was using rent money in order to trade pretty much. So I remember the exact class I was in. I was in. I had my laptop on me. I was trading during class. Also, my first mistake trying to like multitask while trading. That's a big no-no. So first mistake, trading while in class, like while a lecture's going on. I went to a big school, so the lecture was like 300 people. I was sitting in the back. They didn't really pay attention. So I opened my laptop. So pretty much I would open my laptop, right? I don't have Thinkorswim on my actual laptop, but then on my phone I would have Robinhood, because at the time I couldn't get. There's certain levels to get to trade options, to trade naked options. So I had that ability on Robinhood, but I didn't have that ability on Thinkorswim. So I do all my analysis, my charting on Thinkorswim, which is the TD Ameritrade. I think it's Charles Schwab combination right now. So I do all my analysis on Thinkorswim, their platform, but I would actually place the trades on Robinhood. So I had a few $1,000s in my Robinhood account. I believe like $3,000 or $4,000 in that account. Um, and mind you, I'm using rent money. That wasn't in my entire rent money because I was smarter than that, but I was still using rent money. Um, so I remember I'm in class. It's around like 9:30 in class. Market's open, and I was trading during an earnings. Mastercard was the exact ticker I was trading, and it had its earning report, I believe, prior to the market opening, and I believe I bought a call because it had good news. So I believe I bought a call right after the good news was out there in the world. So it was up probably like 5%, 6% already. So I was like, it had good earnings, it had good news. It's gonna continue, right? It has to continue. It's not gonna reverse. It's only going to continue. That's what I'm thinking in my mind before I'm placing this MasterCard trade. So I bought a couple calls. I forgot the amount, but it ended up being like $3,000 worth of trades that I put into this call option. So it was a couple calls. I forgot how many calls I bought. It equated to that $3,000 mark, and I'm sitting there. All right, I'm up like 700. I'm like, all right, let's see how far this can go. I'm up like over 1,000. I'm like, all right, let's see how far it can go. At that point, if I'm up 33% of my position. I should have been closed. I had no strategy. I had no game plan of when I was going to exit, regardless if I was up or down. I was just being greedy and I was being money hungry. And I was like, let's see if I can double my money. And I had like a gambler's mindset. And like, I didn't know what I was doing. Trading is all mental. I did not know what I was doing. So I tried to like keep pushing the envelope. So I think the highest I was up probably was like 1,400. And meanwhile, I'm in class. It's like 10 minutes in. So pushing up. And I'm like, let's go. And then in my mind, I'm like, maybe I should close out some of these calls. Maybe not all of it, but let's close out some of it. And then I was like, then the devil on this shoulder was like, nah, let's hold a little bit longer. Let's hodl. Continue to hold. You can guess what happened. That $1,400 or $1,500 gain turned into a $3,000 loss. I pretty much lost all but like 600 of it. And I'm sitting there in class. Like, the change of emotions, like I was such on a high. I felt like I was on cloud nine. I was like, why don't more people trade? Like I could do this all the time. Like I'm him. Why am I in college? Why am I doing this? I'm thinking all these positive emotions when I'm up like 1,400. But as you know, or maybe you don't know, but typically when earnings report something, it'll push in one direction and then a lot of times it ends up reversing a little while after. But I didn't really. That wasn't a thought in my mind. That wasn't like a thing I thought about. I was just like, let's just make as much money as we can. Let's try to double it. And I lost about $3,000. Like I said, all but like 700 of it. And that was money I needed. That was money I needed for rent. That was money I needed to to pay for expenses. So this was in the beginning of the summer or the beginning of the semester. So I was in the hole a couple thousand. So that's a couple months of rent right there, just gone within minutes. And I'm just looking around like in class, not paying attention to what's going on because like I just lost all this money. I've never lost all this money at once before. I've never even purchased anything this expensive. And I'm just sitting there like, bro, fuck this trading shit. I wanted to quit trading right there and then. Like I went from that euphoria instantly to like a depression within minutes. And I touched on this in my previous video. Eliminate emotions. That's the first thing you should eliminate because you make dumb decisions, as I did here. I, in my mind, I thought if I hold on to this position, these MasterCard calls, I thought about all the indicators that were reconfirming the thought of this is going to push up. I didn't consider any factors that would indicate, oh, this could pull back. That just wasn't a thought in my mind. As a trader, or thankfully I went through that experience, but as a trader, anything can happen in the market. It doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter how much skin in the game you have. If you have no set strategy, you have no set plan, like I didn't have, that will happen to you. And it forced me, since I lost all that money, right, and it was used for rent, I had to work. I worked at a Domino's, right, delivering pizza, like from like 7 o'clock to like 3 a.m. Or not, from like 8 o'clock to like 3 a.m. because that's when they close. And I'm just delivering pizza like to drunk people, and I'm like, the fuck it. I was like, what is life right now? I wouldn't even put the Pizza Hut or the Domino's sign on my car. I would just keep that in my car. I wouldn't wear any of the uniform. I would just drive around because I was embarrassed. I'm like, what is my life right now? And I had to do that because it's what I need to do in order to pay this rent. So there's a couple lessons learned, right, in that simple instance that I referenced, and it was only like a 20-minute instance. Number one, for lessons learned, don't trade in an environment where you can't be fully locked in onto the charts. Like I was like kind of listening to the teacher, kind of not. I had my laptop right here, my phone right here. I had like half of the screen, my class notes. I wasn't fully focused. And remove emotions. I was riding that emotional roller coaster like a motherfucker. I was riding that that pause, but that roller coaster was crazy. It was like the craziest. I've never been that happy and that sad so quick. I felt like a degenerate. And yeah, so that's number two. Don't go on the emotional roller coaster. And three, I don't even know how many I'm gonna name, but I'm just gonna go down the list. Three, do not use money that you need for rent, for food, for expenses, for your loans. Do not use that money. I learned the hard way because I had to start working at Domino's. I couldn't chill with my boys like how I wanted to on like the weekends and shit. I couldn't do the things that I wanted to while I was in college. Those are supposed to be your best years of your life. But that's a different story for a different day. I had a great time. Don't get me wrong. I had one of the best times, but I was missing out on like moments because I was working at this Domino's trying to get this money so I could pay this rent and live in this house. Thankfully, I was only paying like $600 a month because I was in the boonies. Yukon is located in the boonies. So that's number three. Don't risk money that you need, and just number four, right? The most important. I should have put this number one, but always have a plan. Always have a strategy, and be disciplined. That's 4 and 5, right? Always have a strategy and always be disciplined, and those coexist. When you have a strategy, when you know when you're before going into a trade, right? Let me backtrack. Before going into a trade, you should know you have a rough estimate on when you're going to take profit, where your stop loss is going to be, where you're going to potentially enter or potentially add more shares, and where you're potentially going to start cutting down, whether you're up or down. You should have that framework, and you should have that written down or have a mental note in your head so you have a rough estimate. All right, this is how much we're going to win, this is how much we're going to potentially lose, and your risk to reward ratio, I believe, should be at least 3-1. Your reward should be at least 3 times your risk. So say you're risking $30, your max loss is $30, your profit should at least be $90 or more the better, obviously, right? And I touched on this on my last video, but if you don't have discipline outside of your life, other than trading, if you're not disciplined by going to the gym, if you're not disciplined by like your hygiene, your just yeah, personal hygiene, just doing things that you don't want to do, even though you have to do it, like waking up early, for example, which is I think everyone should do. Started waking up 5:30 every day. It's probably the best thing I've ever done. But if you're not disciplined in other avenues of your life, you're not going to be disciplined when it comes down to the charts. You're not. You're just simply this thing right here, this right here. There's no way you're going to be disciplined because if I can look at you and you're someone who's like doesn't have no hygiene, just stinks, not in shape, or you don't got to be in shape. You just got to like be disciplined to like or maybe run a little bit, go to the gym a couple times, like do something you don't want to do and force yourself to do it and stick to that plan. Right? So these are all lessons I've learned throughout my trading journey, and that was my biggest loss, like in one trade. That was my biggest loss by far. And hopefully that helps you. Um, and this is a cool part. Now that I look back on it, that was definitely a monumental moment in my life because I didn't want that feeling to happen again. But it's going to happen. Just try to, you're going to lose money. Maybe not, don't lose money how I did and had no set plan, but it's inevitable. You're going to lose money. But the goal is, if I could leave you with one thing, is to minimize your risk. Your risk should be your number one friend. You should be like a fireman or like a police, a security guard, right? Your one job is risk. How are we going to stop the risk of having fires? How are we going to stop the risk of someone getting beat up in the club right now? That's your one job is risk management. If I could leave you with anything else, that's the one thing I've learned from that. The primary thing I've learned from that. And if you took one thing away from that, it's minimize your risk, have a set plan, and be disciplined to that. Because it's inevitable you're going to lose the money, but it's all about how you, it's all about the mental framework at the end of the day, right? So I hope that helps. Stay tuned. I'm going to be dropping more vids on just the trading journey, my journey from turning $300 into $1,000. So I'll keep you guys updated on that. And then also I'm just doing more like sit down videos like this. And then I'll have more videos where I'm actually like live trading, whether I win or whether I lose. Currently the account's sitting at 487 and we just hit 600 subscribers. So I'm very thankful for that. I appreciate it. Love. So if you got any value from that or just this conversation, I appreciate a sub, whatever. It doesn't matter if no value there. If I didn't provide value, you don't have to. But if you made it this far, show some love. But I'll keep you guys updated on the journey. Peace.